Let's talk about the Ben Simmons saga and the travesty that his career has become. It's honestly really disappointing to look at a guy who was once one of the top stars in the league. Now that seems like ages ago. It seems like it was 5 years ago when it was actually just a year ago when he was playing lockdown defense on Trey Young. And now he has become a laughing stock. Everyone is looking down on him, talking about him negatively. I mean, this guy used to exude such confidence. He believed that he really was one of the top defenders in the league. And who could blame him? He really was huge for the Sixers. He could play with his length, with his height, with his movement, in fact, with his court vision as well. Because many people and they might say now that they've always believed that he was a minus on the offensive end, but back then, when he was at the top of his game, many people were complimenting his passing. They weren't talking about how he lacked on the scoring end, or at least they weren't talking about it in the way they talked about it after the Atlanta series. But this guy really was one of the top defenders in the league. He exuded a lot of confidence. He was really great. And then it all just fell apart. And there are a number of people who've now been making their money just talking negatively about this guy, saying that he's faking the mental health issues. It's very difficult to say whether he's faking it or not. The fact that he would be reluctant to play, for me, says there is a problem. Instead of calling him a coward, maybe there's a different way of looking at it. But the guy has really become a laughing stock. And it's pretty sad. It's pretty disappointing to see a man once be at such an incredible height in his career and then fall to such lows. It's really sad. What he created with Joel Embiid, it was really, really great to see. It was such a wonderful partnership that they built. And to see them go from what they built, what they almost achieved, just to think if they had managed to get past the Hawks, there's no guarantee that they couldn't have gone on to win the chip. So to see them go from that to completely falling out and basically shading each other in the media, it's really sad. It's really pathetic. And you could point fingers in all different directions, but the point is, it happened, it's terrible, and now the guy has become cannon fodder. You see him every time you turn on ESPN, every time you go on YouTube, you see there's another video about Ben Simmons being a coward, Ben Simmons being useless to his teammates. And I can imagine that guys like Charles Barkley are very eager to call him street clothes in the same way that they called Anthony Davis street clothes. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say about how the guy handled his exit from the Sixers, but man, it's just been a bit of a travesty, honestly. Just seeing him, and well, he's got taste, I must say. He's got taste. The guy knows how to dress. And you could question whether he should be sitting on the bench considering that he's not going to play. I think that at least in terms of connecting with his teammates, it's important for him to do it. You could question the whole thing about him potentially saying that he could potentially play in game 4 against the Celtics, but then ending up pulling out. You could question everything. You could question how he left the Sixers, but man, it's really a problem. And then just to see guys like Marcus Smart rising in Ben Simmons' absence. And it's not to say that if Ben Simmons was playing and he was at his best that he would have won Defensive Player of the Year. We all know how Rudy Gobert basically beat him to that award, and you could have your feelings about whether Rudy deserved the award or not. But the point is, right now, guys like Marcus Smart are putting up their hands and they're taking the award, they're taking the things that Ben Simmons would have been known for. So it's pretty disappointing to see all of that. And hell, I'm not even a Sixers fan. I'm not even a Nets fan, but I'm just a fan of basketball, and I'm a fan of guys with talent being able to reach out and take a mantle. And that's why, in many ways, I admire Marcus Smart. I criticize him for various things like some of his reckless plays, but I really admire this guy. I admire his game, his passing, his scoring. I admire his defense in particular. But one thing I also want to talk about is Stephen A. Smith. This guy has just been so belligerent. And many of the things that he's said are pretty much a slap in the face of the athletes that he covers. It's pretty much that simple. He and guys like Big Perk have gone on the attack, questioning everything. Stephen A. Smith has this way of saying something without saying it. In fact, I think he's kind of doubled down now on his Ben Simmons takes. He started out a few weeks ago saying, look, I don't want you to take this as me questioning mental health. We all know that's serious, but I think this guy's lying. So on the one side, he's acting like he appreciates mental health, but then on the other hand, he is completely invalidating the case that people have made for Ben Simmons potentially having some real mental health issues. So I do have my problems with Stephen A. Smith, and we've seen this. I like the guy, he's very entertaining, but sometimes he can be over the top and it can be problematic, and I really don't like how he's gunning for Ben Simmons. I really find it quite problematic. So all in all, it's just pretty sad what this career has come to. But you know what's interesting about life, about sport, is just how people manage to come back. I can just already picture it. Ben Simmons having a whole off season, Ben Simmons having a lot more time to work through his issues, to work alongside Kyrie, to work alongside KD, assuming that that the Nets keep him, that they don't want to let him go, assuming that all of that stays together, that all these other guys, these other pieces that the Nets have stay in place, we could see a hugely improved Nets team next season. We could see a team that's ready to really challenge for the championship. So I'm still optimistic that Ben Simmons can figure it out, that he can turn it around, because that's just what happens in sports sometimes is guys go through these troubled times and then they figure it out in the end.